Hey there, strangers. It's been a couple days um, since I last streamed. Wanted to kind of give you all kind of a little bit of an update as to, why I've been gone. If you didn't, if you're not on my Discord, you know, if you were on my Discord, you would have seen my message. Um, but for those of you that might be, just watching my streams or watching my videos, um, uh, oh gosh, it's been probably over a week now. When was it exactly? A little over a week. December 17th. I received a call from my, well, last remaining aunt letting me know that um, uh, um, my aunt that was suffering from Alzheimer's passed away. Um, and obviously, this is I knew that it was coming, so it wasn't too much of a shock. I mean, once you know about you know Alzheimer's, it's um, it's you know you it's not much you really need to say. It's just pretty much common knowledge that um, it's it's just a matter of time. Uh, I mean, until they find a cure for it, which, let's face it, I mean, when you're dealing with the human brain, they have to take a lot of steps to try to make sure um, that it's handled properly, right? So, um, problem was that uh, it kind of triggered um, my history with the holidays. Um, it seems like a lot of my family relatives, like, pass away around this time, and it doesn't really make for that much of an enjoyable holiday season. And I didn't really want to show that on stream. Um, I don't want to. I wanted everybody else to have a um, happy holidays. Um, so I backed off from streaming for a little bit. Uh, now, now, just to give a little bit of a heads up, I mean, I spent some time with my aunt, but I was never like super close with her or anything along those lines. It wasn't like, we were seeing, I was seeing my family on a regular basis. Okay, um, so it wasn't like I was, um, there on a daily basis or anything along those lines. I wasn't seeing them on a weekly. I mean, I live pretty much like 2,000 miles away from them, and it's really difficult you know, to see them. Um, and don't get me wrong, it's obviously very very hard when you lose someone. Um, because you know, uh, one of the things that you tend to miss whenever you lose someone is the opportunity to kind of share in what they experienced, which is in some ways a nice thing about the streams that I do is that sometimes I can, share some of my experiences. Not that I really have anybody to really pass it on to, but maybe someone else will find some insight or something along those lines, to my past. Uh, so, I'm passing it on to someone at least, you know. Um, but the um, these videos can be really good, helpful tools to kind of see, what life was kind of like, in certain regards, right? Because it's like, hey, um, this is what we dealt with, kind of thing, and you can share that on with others as you know, as we continue as a society, right? So, um, but we don't have that anymore, with my aunt. She's gone. So, I can't really, you know, I don't have any means of like, talking with her or anything along those lines now, obviously. So any kind of like history that, she could share about, what was what it was like to have have my dad as a younger brother, kind of thing, you know. Um, don't really have that anymore. Don't really have that to share. So so that's all. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, um, it's it it's missed opportunities, and it's one of those things where it's, um, I would almost recommend, if you're watching this right now, um, you know, talk with your parents, talk with your grandparents, talk with your aunts, your uncles, older siblings and stuff like that. Record down some history. Record down these little video snippets and stuff like that. Um, before they fade away completely. You know, um, one of the earliest memories that I had about my aunt was, um, we traveled up to Michigan, and I don't remember whose house it was. I think it was my aunt's house. Um, but I'm not sure. And it was like right on the coastline of a river, lake. Not quite sure. And I was pretty young at the time. Not super young, but um, but it was an interesting time nonetheless. Like one of the very first times that I tried fishing and sucked at it. um, was there. Um, forget if I think we watched like no, I don't know if we watched one of the Star Wars movies there or not. But we were having like an outdoor picnic kind of thing. Um, my half sister was there. Um, it was kind of like a little mini family reunion for the most part. Um, so that was like one of the earliest times that I remember my aunt. Uh, last time I, last time I saw her was when my uncle passed away. Um, from my other side, from mom's side, and stayed at my aunt's house. She had a spare bedroom that wasn't being used, so stayed there for I think it was about like a week or so, and spend as much time as I could with her. But obviously, I had to, I needed to see everybody else as well. So, but yeah, it's a little rough. Um, and um, and unfortunately triggered by the fact that uh, my dad passed away a long time ago. So it wasn't like recent, but it's still um, but it was it's yeah, the moment was a shocking experience for us, um, because it happened um, around mid-November, and um, my brother and I, we were woken up by a good friend of my mom's, saying, get dressed, we need to go, your dad's in the hospital. And we're like, what's going on? What? you know, um, you know, apparently mom had been woken up by dad and, was told, take me to the hospital. Um, so, mom's friend, mom called her friend to come and get us, you know, so, my brother and I, we hopped in the car and, we were driven out to the hospital. Now, unfortunately, my dad insisted that they take him, you know, you know, come to find out, dad insisted that they go to the Kaiser hospital. Problem was that that's like an extra 15 minutes away, at least. Um, Instead of the local hospital. That was, I mean, still pretty far, but I mean, if you're rushing, you can probably get there in like 10 minutes instead of like 30 minutes. And obviously, when you're having a heart attack, you want to you want to try to get to the hospital as quickly as you can, right? Um, so the fact that he insisted that they go out to the Kaiser Hospital because that's what their coverage was. Um, was probably the you know was probably the reason why he passed away. They did they couldn't get him to the hospital fast enough to um, try to prevent him from passing. Now I don't blame mom at all on this, because um, she was panicked at the time. So Dad told her to take him to take him to Kaiser. So you know, she you know, and while she was panicked, she drove him out there. Now we were pretty poor at the time. Dad was out of work. Been out of work for months. So we were just living off of a private second grade teacher's salary. My dad, myself, and my brother, all on one salary in California, which uh, even back then it was still pretty rough. Um, at the time I was really concerned that we were, we kept on, you know, going from smaller house to smaller house to smaller house at the time. So I was, in my mind, I was really scared, um, because I was thinking along those lines. I was thinking at the time that, you know, if Dad didn't find a job soon, then we'd probably be stuck in a car, or something like that. We'd have to, you know, we'd be back to like living in a single room, you know, the way we did, before. So, um, but that's here nor there. So Mom's friend took us out to Kaiser, got to the parking lot. Um, you know, we were obviously kind of rushed, but like, we weren't like full on sprinting. Then we saw our mom coming towards us, and we sprinted to her, and that's when she informed us that Dad had passed away in the parking lot. Um, so um, they took him inside. They tried to resuscitate him, but it wasn't enough. He passed on at that point. Um, so that holiday season was pretty much scrapped. You know, we were in a very dark place at that point, um, because it was sudden, or at least, I mean, sudden-ish. Okay, you don't necessarily expect it, when it happens, right? Um, there can be warning signs if the person that is experiencing the heart attack, if they knew, they might have been able to try to prevent it, try to work on it to stop it from happening. But at the same time, um, my brother and I, we knew, you know, if Dad had survived, he would have to do a lot of things to try to change, um, what he needed to do. You know, cut down on the alcohol. Cut down on the steaks that he was having almost on a regular basis. Cut down on the sodas. No more smoking. I mean, um, he was he wasn't necessarily living a healthy life. Let's call it that point. And he was definitely overweight by that point. He was not. He had that beer belly. and combine that with all the unhealthy foods that he was eating, you know, it wasn't too much of, and smoking, beer, unhealthy foods, and everything like that. It was pretty much a not too much of a surprise that he passed away the way he did. We were hoping that he would survive, obviously, um, but he didn't. Um, you know, if he had gone to the other hospital, he might have survived. Now, my my parents probably would have had a lot more bills to pay, maybe. I don't know, medical bills to pay, but um, if he did survive, but uh, you know, keeping him in the hospital for observation and stuff like that, you know, trying to help clear out his arteries, all that kind of jazz, right? You know, so obviously not cheap, but no, he made the decision to tell mom to go to a hospital that was good like 20 minutes more in travel time away. And because of that, he couldn't stay strong. And, he could not survive long enough to handle that. Um, so, so he made the decision and he paid the price for it. So, and well, we did also. Our Thanksgiving was non-existent. Our Christmas was pretty much was dark. Um, we didn't have any mood of putting up a Christmas tree, putting on lights or anything along those lines. It was a dark time for us. So, um, I was, you know, I was in full on shock. Um, so, um, around that time. So, uh, my grades clearly suffered in high school after that. Um, because I didn't really want to focus on anything at that point. Um, you know, I got to a point where I was like, oh, and I just want to do what I want to do. Um, Now, obviously, I still had like other things that, was trying to keep me focused a little bit, like marching band. That kind of kept me moving forward in a direction. But yeah, grades, yeah, those probably suffered quite a bit. Um, so um, so yeah, the it was just not a good time, and because my aunt passed away, that all those memories kind of flooded back in. So um, so yeah. Um, so that's pretty much the reason why I had to kind of take a step back and say I got to take a break. You know, uh, it wasn't so much the fact that I was truly heartbroken about my aunt passing. Well, I mean, well, let's face it. It sucks that my aunt passed away, but at the same time, I knew that it was coming. Like I said, I knew about it. It wasn't a shock. Okay, it was just a matter of time. Um, So, um, and the time was, on the 17th. So, so yeah, not, you know, and I can't head back to Michigan. Don't have the money for it to go see everybody. So, or see what real, my cousins and my last remaining aunt. Everybody on my mom's side is gone. Um, you know, my dad, my my uncle on his side. Now my aunt passed away, so I just have one remaining aunt left, and that's it. So, um, I my heart goes more out to my aunt right now because she has, you know, her parents are gone. Now all of her brothers, her two brothers and now her sister are gone. Um, so my heart goes out to her more than anything else, you know, because that's kind of what happens is that, you know, um, when you pass on, when you leave, it's those who you leave behind that are affected the most, you know, obviously, because they're kind of trying to figure out, what to do after the fact. Like especially if you're someone that, talks on a regular basis, right? So so this is my message at the very end of this video that I'm gonna do here. Um, um, try to do what you can to spend this. I know that it might be difficult in some cases, with um, your relatives. Sometimes your relatives might be pieces of work sometimes. I get that. Um, but it might also be a nice way of trying to get to understand them more, connect with them more, learn from them more, you know. And maybe they'll learn from you a little bit too, you know. So this is my message to you, just, make it a New Year's resolution if you want to, go out and connect with your relatives, record down some stories or something like that. Talk about, you know, what they did in school, what they, you know, did they go and see the world? Did they, what kind of trips did they take? Where did they go to? That kind of thing. And kind of connect in some way. I mean, back in the past, it was, you take photos wherever you travel to and make memories that way, right? You record down the memories. Well, now we have videos, we have recording, and it's a lot easier nowadays with phones. So, you know, um, even if the recordings are short, you know, and you don't need to share it to the entire world either. Okay, make up, you know, The easiest way, make a YouTube channel, upload the videos, and make sure that they're private. There you go. Or, keep them unlisted or something like that if you wanted to share them with anybody else. There you go. Now you have a record of, you know, everybody's experiences, you know, something that you can kind of go back to and watch, you know. Um, so, all right. Well, that's it. That's um, wanted to kind of share this update about it. Again, I don't mean to be, uh, you know, obviously my mood isn't exactly, super happy or anything along those lines. Um, but um, it's a good way of letting past experiences, especially if they're really dark ones, um, you know, share them or, you know, get in front of a webcam and just start talking, especially if you're having your own kind of difficulties yourself. This might be very, very therapeutic, you know. Um, Now, obviously, if you're dealing with if you're dealing with a lot, like what probably could have helped me out, when I was after my dad passed away, is if I had an actual like therapist afterwards to kind of talk about everything. Um, talk about you know that kind of trauma, that shock, that might have helped. But obviously, that wasn't really a thing back then. Um, Obviously, it's better nowadays along those lines. So, um, if you if you suffered a loss in your family, especially if it's was unexpected, then I highly recommend getting someone or talk to a therapist and talk it out. Okay. Um, you know, Especially if you have a lot of um, really dark baggage. You know, like if it's not always uh, sunshine and rainbows in your past, you know, make sure to chat with someone about it. So, um, so yeah, wanted to kind of give you all a little bit of an update about that. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and shut down this video in a couple minutes, and in a minute or two, we're gonna go, you know, well, obviously, I'm streaming right now. We're gonna move on to the Pega development, Pega certification study in just a minute here. Um, so hopefully, um, maybe if you're watching this and if you're also having a hard time, like maybe you just recently lost someone, then and especially if it was unexpected, okay? The unexpected deaths are the worst. Okay, those are the ones that um, you're not prepared for. Okay. Especially if it's someone very close to you. Okay. Um, those are the ones that I feel you should go and see a therapist for. Okay. Or at the very least. Um, I mean, sure, you can probably talk to a friend or something like that, but they might not necessarily understand because they haven't necessarily felt that pain that you might be going through right now. So, not to say that a therapist might too, but you never know. Um, they might. So, do yourself a favor and seek the help. Seek that help. Okay. So that's my advice to anybody that's watching this. So, um, but yeah, this is going to be its own little separate video. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down now. So thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you all next time.